say hello to Olivia.
Hello, Olivia.
Hello, Olivia. Okay, today we're on page 9 in our math textbook, and we are writing large numbers. You will utilize these two charts. If you ever get stuck and you don't know what to do, refer to them because they're going to get you back on track. We just practiced reading some large numbers and figuring out the value and places of certain circle digits. That's going to be very similar to what we're doing today. All right, we want to take a look first of all at the billions. Billions gets added in 5th grade. Up to 5th, you've really only worked with millions. But we've all heard of billions, right? Billions are very common in our conversations today because dollar amounts in the billions are now becoming recognizably not common, but more common than they were when I was a kid. When I was a kid, there was not a billionaire in the world. But today there's several billionaires, right? So when you think about that in terms of money, we've definitely heard of the term billions before. Anybody know what the next period is after billions?
Trillions?
Yes, trillions. Good. So remember that each of these 3 digits is called a period. So I have my units or my ones period, thousands period, millions period, and then billions period. Each period has 3 digits every time, and we divide between the periods using commas, or we separate between the periods using commas. I shouldn't use the word divide because that indicates in math an actual operation. Okay, if you look at your facts at the top of the page in the tan block, Jackson, page 9 in the tan. It says whole numbers containing 4, 5, or 6 digits are called thousands. So if I have these 3 digits and 4 digits or 5 digits or 6 digits, it's my thousands period, right? Does everybody understand the terminology being used there? Yes? Look at number 2. Whole numbers containing 7, 8, or 9 digits would be in the millions period. Very good. Whole numbers containing 10, 11, or 12 digits would be in the billions period. Thank you, Mason. To make it easier to read large numbers, the digits are separated into periods by commas. Each period must have 3 digits, except the period to the far left. Notice in this one, this period only has 1 digit in the billions. Because you don't put the digits in front of it if there's not a 10 billions nor a 100 billions place. Does that make sense? I'm not going to write, let's say, if I have the number 6,391, am I going to put placeholder zeros there to show that I don't have the 10,000s and the 100,000s place? Class? Am I going to put these, is that proper to put zeros here in the front of it? No, it is not. So when you're subtracting, if you wind up with another digit up here that doesn't have anything to subtract, don't put the 0 down there. You don't need it. Or if when you subtract, this gets subtracted out and there's nothing left there, you don't put zeros in your answer. You don't want zeros in the front of your numbers as placeholders. Reserve your zeros for placeholders within the number or at the end of the number. All right, look at the class practice. You have sentences about large numbers. How about Jackson reading A?
The estimated population of Asia in the recent year was 4,049,000,000
Try it again.
The estimated population of Asia in the recent year was 4,049,000,000.
There you go, 4,049,000,000. Now, they have a lot of zeros in that number.
Yeah.
Why?
Because just
Go ahead,
like
Sophia.
hold the places, because there's not any other numbers there.
Good. If the digit does not have a value, you use a zero placeholder. Well, that makes sense. I'm gonna have to use all of those zeros if they come after my greatest place. So I have to use those zeros if they come after my greatest place. And notice the two different ways they've written that number. What do you call it when you use digits to represent the number? Mason, do you remember? We talked about it last week. What form is it if I've used digits? Anybody remember what it's called if I've used digits to represent the number? No? Standard form. If I've used digits, it's called standard form. What is the other form that they used in number one? Mason? Expanded what? It's more specific than that. Well, what did they use to write it? They didn't use digits, they used words, right, it's called word form. So if I said 6,300, look how long it takes me to write that number, 91. Okay, this is called word form. And I could say expanded word form because it's definitely expanded, but technically it's just word form. So that's all I have to remember, word form. Okay, so far I've got standard form and word form. Mason mentioned expanded form, and we looked at it a couple of different ways last week on the game that we played on Kahoot, where they showed the value of each digit with plus signs. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Right? This is expanded form. And then there was one other way of expanded form they showed us that was expanded form using distributive property. Does everybody remember that one?
Yeah.
What does it look like if I have expanded form using distributive property? I'm going to take the individual digit and multiply by the place. So what would go next? Sophia? 3 times 100. That look familiar? Plus, go ahead.
9 times 10.
10, because it's in the tens place. Plus 1 times 1, because it's in the ones place. So when I use expanded form, oh, I can't fit it there. I'm going to put expanded form using distributive property is what that's called. Boy, that's a mouthful by itself. And there's still another one that you're going to learn eventually, but we're not going to learn it yet, in which case we will use exponents. Yes, you may. All right, so take a look at all these different forms, because you need to be able to translate, like a foreign language, a number between all of these forms. You'll see it on achievement tests. You'll see it in this textbook. You'll see it in any other math textbook that you're going to use now and in the future. Standard form is when you just use digits, and we use the Arabic numeral system. Okay? Arabic numerals. Then we have the word form, the expanded form, and the expanded form using distributive property. And there's still one more, expanded form using exponents, which we'll get to later. But each of them tell the same number. Which way would you rather write a number? Standard form, right? That's what we're going to use most often in mathematics. But why do we have to learn all these other methods? What's the point? When you learn these other translations of a number, you are communicating your thoughts. I might need to use this one in order for me to understand how to add or subtract horizontally rather than vertically. Remember when Jackson last week was adding numbers horizontally? Yeah. And he did it fine? He's using this in his mind, this expanded form right here. Why might I need to communicate using expanded form using distributive property? This is going to help me identify the value and place of each digit quickly. What if I had a number with a 0 in it? I'm going to run over and I'm going to use a different color, and that way I don't have to move over to the other board. Say I had 6,091. I'll move this. Say I had 6,091 instead of 6,391. What's going to happen with this digit right here? When I'm in expanded form?
You don't do it?
I don't do it. Exactly. So when I do this one, that's 6,000 plus 90 plus 1. I skipped it. I skipped my placeholder altogether. It's getting a little faster to do that expanded form if I have placeholders, because I'm just going to skip that digit when I represent it in my expanded form. Okay? All right, let's move on to B. And let's see. Mason, read B.
The estimated population of the world in the same year was 6,680,000.
Try it one more time.
600 million. 6 billion.
6 billion.
680,000. No, 680 million.
Ah, okay, 6,680,000,000. So in A, I was talking about just the population of Asia. That's the continent we're going to learn first in history. In B, I'm talking about the population of the entire world. If you look at those two numbers, the world's population is obviously bigger than Asia's population, but it's hard to imagine that on one of the 7 continents of the world, it has 2/3 of the entire population. Most of the population lives in Asia, right? China and India, I think, are the most populous nations in the world now. I know China's number 1, but I think India's number 2. All right, so what are the two forms that number is communicated in B? BJ, what are the two forms that the number in B is communicated?
In what?
What forms do you see it communicated in B?
I think word form.
Word form and
Number.
standard form. Good, that's right. All right, how about C? Abby, read that one, please. Two thousand eight. Keep going.
This number isn't great.
Do it. I want you to read it with the word form.
2,069,463.
Do you see an and or an anywhere in there? Okay. The reason is because we don't want to use that and or at all unless we're reading a decimal number. It's going to be very important that we don't include that because eventually we're going to be reading numbers this large that also have a decimal. So if I've got and twice in what I'm reading, my number, it's going to be difficult for someone to understand where my decimal is actually supposed to be placed. So I have to be able to write what someone else speaks. I also have to be able to speak what someone else writes, and the number has to be communicated accurately. Abby, you may. Sure. Yeah, put your mask on before you leave your desk, please. Okay, thank you. All right, so look at D. Sophia Settle, read that one, please.
A zero placed in front of the whole number does not have any purpose, but in any other position, the zero is very important and must be included. For example, the number 71 billion, 319,624,003 is not written. 71,319,624,003, but is written 71,319,624,003.
Good. You did really well reading that huge number 3 different times. Great job. But look at the middle time it's written. The first time they used digits. The first time they tried to write it in standard form, but that's not. Doesn't it look funny for that 3 to be by itself at the end without the other digits in the period? Okay, so I need to remember that when I'm writing a number, that I need to make sure I get those zeros in the correct places. It's a great job. Okay, now we're going to look at the numbers in 2 and read them orally. Remember that each period is going to have a comma after it. And I'm going to read the digits in that period as a unit or as a whole thing. 789, 456, 123. And then I'm going to use the period name at the end before I say my comma. Like that period name is going to be what the comma represents when I have that whole thing together. The only time I don't say the period name is when I'm at the end with my ones or units. So first I want you to place your commas. Now, if I look at A, do I want to start at the 9 to put my commas in? No. Where do I want to start, Sophia?
You want to start like 3 numbers past it? Or
No.
You start at the beginning though.
I start at the end of the number, the 1 at the end. Remember, the beginning of the number is the 9. But I want to start at the end of the number and count backwards. So start at the 1 at the end of the number and count backwards, and every 3 digits you're going to put a comma. So the first comma should go between 7 and 6. You with me? Did you already do this, Mason? Okay. All right, your next comma is going to go between 1 and 0. And then you have one more comma between 3 and 7. I have to start at the end of my number when I'm placing my commas. So, let's see. BJ, read A, please.
97.
97
billion.
billion.
320 million. 146,721.
That was very good, BJ. That's a hard number. Okay, in B, start at the 1 at the end and place your commas. Sophia Deal, where will our commas go in B, starting at the end? Tell us that.
The first comma will go after the 9.
Wait a minute. Go back to the end. We're on B.
Oh, B. I
B.
was looking at D.
Okay. So start at the 1 at the end and tell us where the first comma goes.
The first comma goes after the 0, the second 0. And
It goes between 0 and 8. Is that what you have?
yeah,
Okay. So say between. What?
between the second 0 and 8. Then the next comma will go between the 9 and 2. And the third comma will go between the 4 and the 8.
Perfect. Did everybody hear where your commas go?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now read it.
The number?
Mm-hmm.
68 billion 432. Is that thousand?
Million.
Million 978,001.
Good. Notice that she didn't say and 1. She just said the 1 at the end. So good job. All right. Look at C. Emma, starting at the 4 at the end, tell us what our commas are between.
The first comma is between 3 and 6. The second is between 8 and 5. And the other one is between 9 and 4.
Good. Did everybody get their commas right? All right, Emma, read that one, please. 9 billion.
438,506,300.
Very good. All right, we're going to come back and do D, E, and F in a moment, but look up at number 3 at the top of the next page. And it asks you to write these numbers and watch for the correct placement of the zeros. All right, so if I look at A, I have all 4 periods represented. I have my units, thousands, millions, and billions represented. So if I'm going to write A, I'm going to start with 37 billion. Notice how I use a comma when I'm going to say the word. And then I have 621 million. I'm going to use a comma when I would say the word. 739,000, there's my third comma, 482. That one's pretty easy, right? Okay, we're going to skip to C. Skip to C. And I have 7 billion. Notice that even though I don't have any other digits in front of it, I'm going to put my comma right there, 7 billion, because that's where my word is. 986,000,000. So I'm gonna put a comma where that million word is. 249,000. I need a comma where that word thousand is. And look what I've ended with, 4. But I can't put the 4 there, right? That wouldn't be right. I've got to have 3 places. So I'm going to put my 0 placeholders here. Okay? Does that make sense for C?
That's D.
You got the,
In our book it is.
Oh, I did. That is D. But I've got C and D mixed up, don't I? Okay, so where did I get off? 7,186,249,072. Thank you. No wonder you guys look perplexed. I mixed them up. Okay. Now skip to F. Skip to F. This one is tricky. I have 19 billion. So I start out easy, 19 and a comma. Do I see a millions place named at all? So I'm going to need placeholders for my millions because I don't see them there. And I still need the comma, even though I don't say the word. So here's my placeholders. Now moving on from the 19 billion, I have 276,000. Is thousands the next period after millions? Yes. So I'm going to keep that 276,000. But then my words end. 0, 0, 0. I need placeholders for my units. Or ones place. Okay? So there's F. All right, you are going to come back and finish the other numbers or letters of 3. Move on to 4. And I'm going to call out numbers for you to write. I will call the numbers 3 times. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
A, 329,402. You're writing that on 4A. 329,402. All right, just to check your digits on that one, what you should have written down, check yourself. 329, comma, 402. Did anyone miss that one? Did anyone leave out their 0 placeholder? I know it's hard to admit, but don't be afraid. We're practicing. I make a lot of mistakes when I practice. How about you? Yeah. Okay, look at B. You ready? This one's big. 7,326,732,014.
What was it again?
I'm going to repeat it 2 more times. 7,326,732,014. Any zeros in B?
Yes.
What place has a 0? The hundreds place. So this digit, hundreds place, should be a 0 in what you wrote down. 3rd digit from the end. All right, letter C. Are we ready? 19 billion, 738 million, 406,329. We'll read it again. 19 billion, 738 million, 406,329. Something was coming in. All right, one more time. 19 billion, 738 million, 406,329. Is there a zero in that number? Where is it?
At the 10,000.
Mason says 10,000s. Does anybody disagree?
The flag does. The flag does. Disagree.
He will no longer stand for that number. Okay, so when you look at that number, you should have a zero in this place. Whoop, right here. So 3 digits, comma, a digit, a zero, a digit, comma, 3 digits, comma, and 2 digits in the front. All right, look at D. 6,4,581,018. Again, 6,4,581,018. Does anyone need that one repeated? Okay, 6,4,581,018. We are going to go over those digits though, because this one is tricky. So you should have started with 6, comma, 004, comma, 581, comma, 018. That was D. Any questions on that one? All right. I'm going to go through the last 4 rather quickly. I'll say them twice each. Try to write it. If you miss and need me to repeat it a 3rd time, let me know. E, 432,621. Again, 432,621. Letter F. This one's very, very tricky. Put your listening ears on. 1,000,001,001. Again, 1,000,001,001. G is going to be easy. 7 billion. G, 7 billion. That's it. Just make sure you get the right number of zeros. H, 18,004. 18,004. Anyone need one repeated? Mason?
I need E.
432,621. Anyone else need one repeated? Okay. Olivia, we'll see you tomorrow.